Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Backsoon in the 3-minute pool on ICC. Yes, I'm going back to 3-minute for a few games, just to try to work on my time management and play some fast games and get used to it. So I know 3-minute is like borderline bullet, so these are just kind of extra videos for fun and maybe some instruction as well. So Backsoon has a pretty high rating, 2383, and they are going after that light square bishop of mine, so we're going to have to oblige them if they want to take that bishop off the board. This is a line I played in a standard game recently, in fact. Usually they play rook c1 and they try to line up the rook with the queen on c7. The other reason I'm playing these fast games is because I'm about to head to the airport in like less than an hour. So I figured let's get some 3-minute games in. We can get those out real quick. Neat castles, okay. So h2 is under attack, but b7 is hanging. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a stab at the queen side with a5. And then I'm going to go here and try to deflect the knight so I can get at e4. And we're going to keep pushing. So go after b2 now. I wonder if I can take h2 at this point. I wonder if that works. I'm going to try it. Let's be brave, because white's queen is no longer attacking that pawn on b7, so maybe we can just go grab this guy. Taking on e4 was also a possibility first, but I might want to keep this pawn on d5 and not burn all my bridges in the center quite yet. Okay, so you're going to let me do this now? I'm surprised, because this looks good. Okay, let's go here. e6, is that coming? e6 I can play knight over. So this is, I think, working for me.
Check.
Now, which way to take? King or... Let's take with the king. g6 is covered by the rook, so that's okay. Let's invade. I'm trying to keep the presence of a major piece on the second rank. And here I'm attacking the rook on g1, so I might force him to trade, and I'm simultaneously defending g6 as well. I'm up 2 pawns, so I mean, if I survive, this is awesome for me. Huh. Okay, so he's threatening rook g1, I think, is the plan behind that move. Can I do much about that? Guess I can come here and maybe threaten this d4 pawn. I'm doing all right on the clock. I'm not worried about the time so much. Okay, let's take that. I think that d4 pawn has got to be worth something.
Check.
I know he can take g6 with check, but let's just hide the king. g8 seems as good as any other square. Okay, bishop c5 or bishop c3? Let's play the active move, bishop c5, hit the rook. Bishop b4 might have been good too, because I just realized queen c2 was not possible for him. Okay, let's come in. Yeah, I mean, the sharks are circling around his king. His king is looking mighty lonely here. That has no threat associated with it, so maybe just rook e8. Get a little bit closer. We're covering h7 with the knight. Meanwhile, knight e2 could be a threat. I'm up time as well. What you got, Backsoon?
Check.
All right, let's invade. If check here, there's bishop f8. Check on c8, that is. Yeah, and I'm threatening the bishop. I'm threatening queen b2 if he moves. This is looking bad. If queen c2, I can play... here he has rook h8, but I take and then knight back to g8, fortunately.
Check.
All right, rook h8 doesn't quite work for him. He's just going to run out of checks after he takes my bishop. Meanwhile, I'm threatening this. Yeah, this is over. If queen f4, I could just trade queens. I could also play queen b2 check, king d1, take the bishop, take b1. I'm up too much material, so he resigned. All right, so that's the type of victory I like to get, which I haven't been able to produce in the 3-minute pool when I was playing this pool more regularly. Who is Backsoon? He has a pretty high rating. Anonymous player. Okay, so what can we learn from this one? Bishop f5 is sometimes considered an inaccuracy against knight c3, but there is a line, if I go back and have a look at this, whereby if white plays c takes d5, c takes d5, queen b3, this used to be considered kind of the refutation of bishop f5. Lately, black has been playing knight c6, queen takes b7, and bishop d7, sacrificing a pawn, but white has wasted a lot of time with the queen. So it's not so simple, and in fact, I think black has good compensation. So instead, we transpose into the main line, one of the main lines of the slow Slav. Yeah, and in this line, white gets the bishop pair, but they have certain structural flaws that they have to address, like the pawn on f3 weakens their king a little bit. h2 was a tender point. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the same position I had in a recent standard game, which might even be coming out around the time that you watch this video. And I believe in that game I played b5. The position might be a little bit different by one move, but I think it's actually the same position exactly. So the point is, like, black can't take h2 because queen takes b7 is not something black wants at the end of the line. So in that standard game, I played b5 to try to address that, but I think white had an advantage. Here I tried a5. I don't know how good this move is too, but it's something. And let's just turn on the engine real quick. The engine thinks white should play bishop d3. Maybe a5's not bad. The engine had it as a top move for a second. Yeah, I think it is the same position, because I remember the engine also recommending queen b6. But a5's kind of active. He responded to that with e4 and then a4. Maybe white should take, but then I was thinking I would take here. I do have to watch f7, though, bishop c4 attacking this pawn. So here it'd be better to play b5, knight to c3, and then b4, send the other pawn up. I suppose that way, if here the knight is perhaps a little bit caught, like queen a7, attacking down the file. But the engine thinks knight takes a4 should be tried, at least for white. Because in the game, it seemed like he didn't get a lot of play for the pawn. Maybe a3 is an inaccuracy by me. The engine says just trade the pawns and then play knight g4, going after h2 and also threatening knight f2 with the fork. And after a3, he should ignore the attack on b2 and instead favor e5 and hit the knight and possibly continue with e6. That's a problem for black in a lot of lines. Like if the knight moves away, e6 can deflect the f-pawn from f7 and g6 could hang. And meanwhile, if this,
Check.
I assume just king b1, and even though white has given up a pawn on the queen side, that black pawn actually acts as a buffer against the black attack. Ooh, here knight takes d5 was possible. Yeah, these are tactics that are even more likely to go unappreciated in a 3-minute game than a 5-minute game. Knight takes d5 is nifty. So main point is that pawn takes is not possible because I lose the queen on c7. And if knight takes, I assume now white takes the rook and then takes on d5. And if I take here, rook e1 check. King goes for a walk, king d8, bishop g5 check. Knight f6, and bishop b5, threatening rook e8. And the computer likes white's attacking chances. Yeah, messy position, but knight takes d5 is a beautiful move. That was possible. Instead, he played bishop d3. I took on g2. Even still, the computer thinks that white is doing well. Okay, here knight takes d5 was also possible. Yeah, safe to say we both totally overlooked this tactical idea. Yeah, here it's even more clear because my knight has been enticed away from guarding d5, so I still can't do this. The game could have taken a completely different direction had he found that.
Check.
All right, now after this is where it started to seem good for me. Yeah, once I take on g2, I'm doing pretty well, although I'm not above making mistakes. Here, knight f4 was strong because bishop takes f4 gets mated on b2.
Checkmate.
So knight f4 is a good way to activate the knight and also threaten the bishop. Instead, I played queen f2, and here he had a good opportunity with queen g1 instead of rook g1. So queen g1, attacking g6, and it looks like I cannot hold g6. Trading for me is best, but then this pawn falls. And perhaps the engine likes white because my knight will be a little offsides over here. Yeah, I would assume bishop d6, bishop takes pawn. White's not even down any material now. It's equal material. Oh no, actually I'm still up a pawn. king e6, knight e2. And that move would be directed against black, including the knight in the struggle. Okay. Yeah, so queen g1 was a good move. Instead, rook g1, and now I get queen takes d4 in. Knight f4 was still strong.
Check.
King g8. Bishop c5. I think here bishop b4 would have been even better. I almost played that, but I rejected it because of queen c2. But upon reflecting for a couple more seconds,
Check.
queen c2 just loses to queen takes g1. So there's no reason not to play bishop b4, attack the knight, and try to get it to move so we can mate white here. But even after bishop c5, I think black is winning.
Check.
Too many threats against white's king.
Check.
And fortunately, this
Check.
rook h8 resource at the end didn't
Check.
hurt me because it looks flashy, but after knight g8, white runs out of things to do. All right, so you can see how many errors were present in this game. It would have been better if I had just ended the video without any postmortem, but I mean, that's the type of thing you can expect in Blitz, and a 3-minute game, which is already basically between Blitz and Bullet anyways, you can fully expect to see a lot of errors like this. Anyways, thank you guys, and I'll be back with another game or two of 3-minute. Bye.